Hello, fiends, friends, and familiars. This is Matt Orozco from Macabre Daily, and I'm with my good friend, as always,
Lowell Greenblatt. How
Lowell. And you'll notice if you're watching this, we're joined by two other folks today, folks that I've been huge admirers of on Instagram, and finally got a chance to have on one of our video, what I don't know, YouTube's podcasts. I sound like such an old man when I try and explain the internet, but
on
I'm
the
with
fun,
AJ.
the microfiche. We bring
Yes, oh man, remember when those used to be in like all the suspense movies, just microfiche film, just someone in a dark room, just turning through slides of old newspapers. Anyway, we're
Uh-huh.
with AJ and Christy of In Love with Horror. Thank you both for being here.
What's up,
yeah.
everybody? Glad to
Well,
be here. No, and we the same that you do. We always be like, whenever we try to talk about like our stuff, we're like, it's YouTube channel, podcast. We do online content stuff.
yeah, it's just, and I don't want to say content creator because I feel like for some reason that's turned into like a dirty word. It's almost just like I like horror movies and I do stuff with it. Like it's
Yep.
just it's hard to explain, but we'll find a way. Maybe one day we'll get Gen Z to give us a word that'll perfectly describe what it is we're doing. But
Right.
it'll
It's
probably be
kind
making
of
fun
a
of us.
horror movie, like just the intro pitch to like a horror movie, like an ancient word that I,
Yeah.
I'm just spitballing. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's some Lovecraftian shit right
Well, I know this would be a great writer's room already, just based on the conversation we're having. It's already veered into the obscure. So, well, we're here to talk about Fantastic Fest and do a little bit of a recap because this is so Lowell and I do this every month, but we've started to do it now twice a month. So our first episodes are always about like a top five list of some random order. I think what did we do? The last one was top five sequels, but like underappreciated sequels.
there. Underappreciated sequels. Yeah.
Yeah. But now we all just came fresh off of our Fantastic Fest viewing. We thought, why not have the fine folks AJ and Christy to talk about what we watched. But before we get into that, I'd love to ask y'all a couple questions, just about your account, how you all got together. So, what's the In Love with Horror story? Like, how did you, I know you all are a couple, but also how did this turn from just a relationship into something like so amazing on YouTube and Instagram? And your own website as well.
Go
You
ahead,
want
take
me
it
to tell
away.
it? Okay. All right. Now, really, it comes from us just wanting to do something together. We've always wanted to do some sort of like have some sort of online space where we could talk about the things that we really like. And as we were like just going through the different options of things, we like a lot of different things, have a few different things in common. One thing that stuck out in terms of we are like, oh, this might be a good area for us to talk about was our love for horror movies. And as we just kind of explored the space, be like, hey, there's not a lot of black creators within that horror space. So I was like, it'd be cool if we can share our opinions and jump online, do podcasts, things like that. And then just the name of In Love with Horror just came from us being a married couple, like kind of like has the play on words of In Love with Horror. But that's kind of just how it was born. We just started doing podcasts and we did YouTube and just been going for what like a year and a half at this point now, and just having a good time with it.
That's
Nice. I love the
amazing.
logo too, by the way. The heart hands and the skull and then the dick.
Yeah,
Thank
Really
I
cool.
you.
appreciate that.
Yeah,
Went
I
through a
mean, and
couple
just
ideas before we landed
Yeah.
on that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, but just for a year and a half, it's been impressive just to see what you all been doing. I follow your page constantly, and you're always doing pre-screenings, you're doing giveaways for movies and tickets. So, what drives kind of the passion to do this? Obviously, a space to talk about it, but what fuels your all's continued drive to innovate and keep doing more and more? Because again, it feels like you're always you're staying on top of all the movies. You're keeping super busy on not watching what's new, but also talking about other movies and joining other podcasts like these. So, what drives the motivation?
Oh, I think it has to do a lot with the people. Like
Yeah.
we are big on community and connecting with other horror lovers. And so I think we want to connect horror with our community. Like the things that we're watching. A big thing for us is money and saving money. And so we want people to know, hey, like, is this worth me spending my $14 at the
Mm-hmm.
movies to go check out? Because that's what we do. Like, I'm like, oh, should we go to this? Should we say, because like right now, for example, there's two movies out, Bagman and
I can't remember.
Azrael
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
theaters. Okay, well, we can't go see both. So where should we put our coins? So
Mm-hmm.
just like, answering those questions, but also just collaborating and having fun. And we like being around other creators, other people who just love horror in general. I'm a social person. I think for the most part, you are social.
Yeah, yeah. She's a lot more, at least in the online space. She's way more like extroverted in that arena, like social media and things like that's not my lane. I'm not a social media person, but
well, we love the people in the community, so that's the biggest drive, and then obviously the passion that we have for movies in general, but obviously for horror.
And I think the key word there is always just fun, right? Like, so you mentioned like what drives you to like keep going, and like to be able to go for a continued amount of time, you gotta like love what you're doing, and it's just fun. It's just fun to get online and talk about movies. Like you can't beat it, honestly.
No, you can't. And I think it's something Lowell and I've talked about before, but it's kind of like we all grew up without having this kind of horror community because it was almost, I want to say taboo, but it's more just like you were kind of the weird kid if you're watching horror movies. And so it's nice now that, while the internet's also given us tons of awful things, it's also given us tons of access to people we couldn't have or wouldn't have been able to interface with before. And going back to like love of horror, what are some of your favorite subgenres, but also some of your least favorite subgenres?
Ooh, good question.
Well, we're big found footage.
People. That's
we
number
love watching
one.
Found footage. There's something just so magical about it because you can have the big budgets and the low budgets, but they still feel the same just by the nature of it being found footage. It's a dope subgenre. We're also big on like the supernatural, paranormal subgenre as well. I would say our least is probably what, slasher?
Yeah.
We don't I feel like that's not like our go-to. Yeah, like if you were to put a slasher and then like a found footage or like a demonic possession movie, we're probably going to choose the demonic possession.
Okay, keep my tears inside. Don't worry.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, he got his tear ductor moves for this exact reason, so he can't cry anymore. But yeah, I mean, are there any subgenres where you both kind of diverge, where it's like, AJ, you really like this one, and Kirsty, you don't, or vice versa?
Sci-fi horror.
That's
definitely him.
That's a good one.
Not that I don't like alien movies, but that's definitely your. I'm not gonna choose that if it comes down to it. That's definitely you.
Well, there's another subgenre. I thought about this. That's kind of lower, and I think you would agree with this too. Is like the horror comedies. Like we're not big horror comedy people either.
Yeah, it's gotta be
hard
really
to do.
funny.
Yeah, because they're hard to do. Right?
Really
They are hard.
Yeah,
because most horror comedies are either too much of one or the other, and they fail like by being too much of one or the other. So it's like it's a delicate balance to walk. And I feel like a lot of movies. They're getting better. I think there's just the quicker wit from younger generations becoming writers, and making it a little bit more, a little better. But nevertheless, there's still tons of cringy Scream jokes in the new Scream movies. So, but I digress. As far as beyond, obviously love for horror movies is what brings you both together, and obviously your page and your community. But is there anything else beyond just movies that you all are focused on or interested in? I think you've seen you share things around books before. So curious to know what else besides just horror movies in the genre you're fans of.
Well, I'm more of the book reader, but I got him reading a book now.
Yeah, I am.
What's the name of it?
Which one?
Playground.
Oh, Playground.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Wait a minute. He's not a big reader. And you're starting him with
I had to get something that might entice him, and I know he likes.
Yeah, it was, I'm in the very beginning. I'm a very slow reader. I gotta find the time, but it's
So he hasn't even gotten to page 40 yet. I don't mean to be so insular, but that book is so notorious that everyone talks about page 40, and they're not even at the playground yet. It's just
I don't remember what page 40. What page I'm on?
No.
You're not at 40.
I'm not there.
Yeah, but
okay. Because there was a section in there that I was just like, this is gross. But yeah,
it's like, I don't really watch horror movies. Here's a Serbian film.
right.
That's the equivalent of what you've done.
I had to throw him in there.
Well, yeah, because she knows that.
You didn't have to throw him into that far. Into the deep end. Oh my god! Like that, But
okay. To my defense, Lil, you made a good point because when we first started, kind of like dating, he showed me a Serbian film. He invited me over to the apartment.
It wasn't the first one.
It was like the second. It was like the second.
It wasn't the
no
Serbian
film on the first date. That's a good rule.
It was definitely at least the second one.
It was early though.
It was very early.
Because I hadn't seen it either. We watched it together. I just heard about it.
Either way, I had
and
no
I was
idea.
like, hey,
no
synopsis,
synopsis, no inkling of what to expect or nothing. We just
oh god.
So now I'm returning the favor.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, that is all. In one hand, I could see that as being like the best possible way of determining, is this my person? You know, like, will this person sit with me through this movie? And they might judge me for it, but will they stick with me through it?
Right.
Versus like if they
sink or swim moment. That should have made
she was upset for a while. I ain't gonna lie to her. She was really mad at me for a good amount of time, but we're still here.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, hey, that's understandable. That's love, you know. It's sometimes it's messy. Sometimes it's very, very messy. But so I mean, so books. Anything else you all are really big into?
Yeah, video games.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't get to play them as much as I used to. You know, being a full-time adult. You know what I mean? With kids and everything, but. When I can, like I'll even if I can't play it, I like to just watch people, you know, play horror games, and I try to get to them when I'm able to. But that's another like I guess like category or topic that I'm interested in.
Oh man, I wish there was more. The one thing they don't tell you about becoming an adult is that you just like you will have all the time in the world to do whatever you want, but then you have obligations, and then like these obligations just pile up, and then you're just like, oh, I used to play video games like every day, like for an hour or something like that. Now, like the weekends is when I play the video games. So
sometimes I can't even get the week. I don't even remember the last time I played a game was, but I'll keep up with it. You know, I watch all the latest stuff that's coming out, and I'm like, I gotta put that on my list, and you know, maybe one year I'll play it.
Wait for that Steam sale. Like, all right, I'll just get them all when they're on sale. That's it.
Yep, and never play them.
Yeah, exactly. Backlog it for eternity.
Yep.
So last question for y'all would just be, what's your stranded island movies? So if you had to pick 3 movies that you're stuck on an island with for the rest of your life, you can't watch anything else. It doesn't have to be horror, obviously. Just 3 movies you're stuck on an island with. What are you choosing?
You can go first. I need to think.
There we go. Throw me out there first. Let's see. Okay, I'll pick for 3 movies. I'll pick from 3 different genres. Horror, I would pick Sinister, just because I love that movie a lot. I gotta have my action comedies. Going Rush Hour 2. It's one of my favorite movies. And then I'll go action. I'm going John Wick. Huge John Wick fan. Yeah. And I'm going Chapter 4 because Chapter 4 was amazing, and I feel like I could rewatch that a lot.
The Hong Kong massacre shootout style at the end with the top down change. That was quite a thing to see. What about you, Chrissy?
Okay. Don't judge. Jurassic Park.
No judgment. Great movie. It's great.
It's a great movie. Titanic.
Yep, I knew that was coming. I already knew that was coming.
And oh gosh, I need a third one. Probably Nightmare Before Christmas.
Great choices. I know my wife would also be with you on the Titanic train. She's like, very, very rarely does she like, oh, I want to go see that in the theater. When they re-released Titanic, what was it, like 2 years ago for the 20th anniversary or something? And she's like, so when are we going? Like, when are you taking me? So
they had the Titanic exhibit thing here, and so for her birthday, I took her to that. It's like this cool walkthrough museum exhibit thing.
It was so cool.
It was a cool experience. Yeah,
I loved it.
Yep.
And you should never be ashamed of Jurassic Park on that list. That is, for my money, this is maybe blasphemy to some, the best Steven Spielberg movie.
Yes.
There's an argument for it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
I agree.
Not
controversial all the time.
Yeah. I'm glad I didn't start this off with a hot take, because I felt like sometimes my love for Child's Play 3 will not be silenced. Let's put it that way. But
I can't stop him. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'm ahead of the trend, because look at the Final Friday. It's finally getting the attention it deserves.
That's true.
From our starting to look back on it, thinking it could have been worse. So
I'm sorry. I need to rewind for a second. I'm still stuck on Playground. Just real quick, do you know what it's about, or did she just give you the book?
She kind of told me what it was like, give me an idea of what it was about, and I was like, oh, that sounds pretty disturbing.
Okay,
I'll check it out.
Matt, do you know what this book is?
I've heard of this author because I know it was like going around on TikTok for a while, and like someone had told me about it. I haven't read it though because I'm a slow reader too.
Okay, it's you know the tagline, and I'll just say the tagline is basically Saw with kids.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
So okay, just checking and respect. Continue.
I mean, straight into the fire. That's the best way to do it, right? I mean,
Yeah, you got to
Exactly.
just
Yeah.
Exactly.
jump into the deep end. Fuck it.
Yeah.
well, speaking of jumping into the deep end, we have been deep in Fantastic Fest stuff. I believe, I think I speak for all of us in saying that as much amazing as it is to see all these movies, it is also so overwhelming to have access to so much content and have to take it all in. So, I've got a few questions about the experience overall, but for starters, AJ and Christy, was this your first year doing virtual attendance, or have you done this before with Fantastic Fest or other fests?
This is our first time doing it with Fantastic Fest.
Yep.
We did a online festival maybe a couple months before this one. But it was like you were saying, this one was definitely a lot more overwhelming, a lot
Right.
more films. But I think the last one was all horror. I think it was. Yeah, it was all horror. But yeah, this was our first Fantastic Fest. Period. We haven't gone or done online either. So it was our first experience across the board with Fantastic Fest.
Yep.
Overall, what did you think about the films you had access to?
Overall, I thought those were really good. I mean, obviously there's a mixed bag.
Yeah.
But I think I was pleasantly surprised by a lot of the things that came out of the festival.
Yeah.
That we had access to.
Right. Yeah, because there's a huge, obviously, itinerary, but
yeah,
a selection are available on the online.
Yeah. How about for you guys?
Well, Lowell and I did this last year virtually, and Lowell did it virtual this year as well. So, what were
I'm
your?
definitely going in person next year. Like it's happening. I'll find a way. I mean, the experience of it was fine. The movies were maybe not as groundbreaking as last year. I still like some of them, and I know that the movies that weren't for me, some people are gonna love. It's like when I walked out of Lisa Frankenstein earlier this year, I was like, that wasn't bad, but that's going to be someone's favorite movie. Like
Yep.
lots of those. But yeah, it was interesting. I also think, and I think this is my fault. I saw a screener of The Substance right before Fantastic Fest, so like I had like my head blown back, and then I went into Fantastic Fest, and I think I should have recalibrated myself a little bit more because that was one of the best movies of the year, and I'm like hyped to see the new indie crazes that are coming, and maybe I had my expectations a little bit too high, but the activator will do that to you. What can I say?
Yeah, The Substance rocked my world. Beautiful movie, but yeah, I would say the reason I think I was like I'm gonna go in person this year had a lot to do with last year, seeing that there was just so many movies that while the online screening room does have quite a bit, there's just so much more you're gonna see and in person there. And I must say that the people there were just so accommodating and generous. It's a really cool vibe as far as a film festival is concerned, where there's not a lot of pretension. It's just a lot of people hanging out. So nice to get out of a movie and you're just around a bunch of people that want to talk about it. Where it's like normally go to a movie, it's like you can't jump. It's like, so what did you think about this? Like, excuse me, don't talk to me. There's personal space. So
I don't know you.
That's my purse.
Yeah.
So
Right.
so I was texting Lowell the whole time, like, I'm getting a bigger Airbnb next year, and we're figuring out a way because there's just so much.
Yeah.
So I hope you all make it out there as well, because I think
We
it's
definitely
That's the plan.
want to.
Oh, yeah. That's the plan. Next year.
Because like you said, we do have access to stuff, but the stuff we actually really want to see, obviously, are the ones that we
It's only in
can't.
person.
So yeah, we definitely want to try to make it out there next year.
Yeah, I have my Toxic Avenger memories where they didn't do screeners of that last year, and now it's like stuck in distribution hell. So I'm like, never again if I can afford it.
That's gonna get out though. Like that'll find a way to get out. But I was thinking for the future when it comes to like if you're doing virtual again and you get like press releases for other films in the fest that are showing but aren't in the screening room, I wonder if you could just request a screener for them. I think I did that last year with There's Something in the Barn where it wasn't in the screening room, but I got a screener for it, and then I didn't have to watch something that wasn't quite up my alley. So I don't think you can do that with like, I don't know, Rule of Jenny Penn or like Terrifier 3, but it's worth it. Worth a try.
Well, I think I did that. And
oh, really?
some of them were like, yeah, no, we're not. Like you mentioned, Terrifier 3 was one of those films.
Yep.
But it was one that I can't remember which one it was now.
We tried to do Apartment 782.
Oh yeah. I tried to get that one. They're like, nope. Yeah. So I did try.
No, it is that is a good kind of like cheat code almost, is when you go to because they give you that list of PR folks, and sometimes they'll give them to you, sometimes they won't. I just found the bigger the movie, the less likely they're going to give a screener for it.
Yeah.
But that said, you can get lucky sometimes, and most of them are just happy for you to watch it. So I think they're usually pretty eager to just send out the screeners so you can get some eyes on it and get some reviews on it. But with that, I guess we'll start with kind of what are we really like. So start with you, AJ and Christy. Like, what are some of the films that really stood out for you all as far as the lineup this year?
Well,
start with?
Oh, whatever you want to start with.
Well, let's start. I guess we start with the one that we watched last. That
Mads.
No, I was gonna say the other one. Parvulus.
Parvulus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You really like that one?
I thought it was good.
Oh.
Yeah. I did. I really liked it. I thought it was a lot of heart in there, a lot of emotion. I like the creative concept with it. The performances were great. I don't know, like very kind of dark ending. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I like that one. If I'm building a list, I don't think it's my number one, but it's
Right.
on the list for ones that I like.
Oh, okay.
That surprised me. Yeah.
That's on mine for
I thought
sure.
It was okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was. Okay.
It's a little
It wasn't
long.
like my favorite.
Yeah.
It was long. Yeah.
It starts a little slow, but once it gets going, yeah.
Was that one
I
of
agree
the
with the
people you
concept,
held you back? One of the people you reached out to? Because I don't know if was that.
Oh, actually, yes, I did.
Okay. See, you got to figure it out. I have to get on your level. But next year, if I'm not in person, but yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I thought it was okay. Like you said, Matt, it was long.
Yeah.
I do like the concept of it.
Yeah.
And the performances, especially like the little kids, they did a really good job.
Did amazing.
Had a really good range. I don't know. It just I think it didn't go the way I thought it was gonna go, and I think that's what kind of like.
It's got a weird tone about it to kind of switches from like really serious and depressing to kind of funny and weird.
Yeah, there were some. Yeah.
Like, wait a minute, like, because once they kind of reveal what's going on, it's like, all right, well, that's a little weird. Like, and then cards become a little funny. So you're like, I don't know how to feel. Like,
I think
there's a lot of really bad things happening here.
When it ended, I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. Yeah. I think that's what it is.
That and just being kind of long. Like, it does go through a lot of stuff.
But I like that though, right? Because it becomes almost lighthearted. But you're like, okay, this is too lighthearted, so it's gonna get fucked up, and it really did. Yeah.
That was a good one for sure. Lowell, what is there anything you like? What else did you check out that you were really a big fan of?
I like The Severed Son a lot. It's some British folk horror with some neat creature design. It's like 80 minutes. Now, I felt like it kind of could have been longer, which I don't say about many movies, but it's a first-time director, really impressive, good score, good cinematography. Yeah, just watching assholes in a religious community get killed. Rightfully. But yeah, I think that's from Dark Sky. Yeah, that was one of the better ones I saw for sure.
Yeah, that was solid. And it also, you are right. I'm a big proponent of movies should be 90 minutes or less. Every minute above that, you got to really earn that minute. But that's a clear example of like, wow, there's more meat on this bone. Like, I think if you could flesh this thing out a little bit more, But it did look great. The cinematography is fantastic. Very very much
Did you
like the
guys see it?
Witch.
Yeah, we didn't get a
We
chance to
didn't
watch
get-
that one.
we
Yeah.
ran out of
Yeah,
time.
that's the one we ran out of
Oh,
time
that
on.
happens.
And they're
Yeah.
strict
Yeah.
on that virtual screening room. I mean, I went into like
Yeah.
yesterday and it was gone. So
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I was like, dang, because I mentioned to the guys earlier before we started recording that we were but a day behind because our account was messed up. But I was like, dang,
Yep.
can they give us an extra day?
Hey, right. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, we didn't get to see that one.
What others were high up on the list of
Now,
liked?
now she had said Mads. I did
Oh
like
yeah,
that one. That
that
was
was
good too.
good.
Oh,
Yeah.
I want
Okay, I
to see
missed that
that.
one, but everyone talked about it.
I heard
Yeah.
a review describe it as like George A. Romero's Run Lola Run, and I'm like, I want to see that right now. Did I miss
Yeah,
it?
that's a good point. Yeah, it is kind of in that
Yeah,
vein.
I think
Yeah.
so. I didn't know what. Did we read the synopsis for this one before we watched it?
Nah, because I think I told you like, oh, I just heard that it's this movie that's presented in one take, and it's
Okay,
just like
yeah.
a really fucked up night. And
Well, it was really an effed up night.
Yeah.
But it was really good. I was like, ooh, okay. I think I said that a lot too. I was like, ooh, oh, okay. Like this is
yeah,
what we're doing.
yeah, yeah, that one was done really well.
Yeah, the performances in that one also made that movie.
Yep.
And the one take thing was done really well too. It was very fluid.
Mhm.
Almost like a person standing next to these people the
Oh.
whole time.
Yeah, like you're just a bystander watching. it
Yeah,
go
like a
down.
bystander, right? Yeah. But it was done really good.
Yeah, that was a lot of
There's-
fun.
There's a lot of buzz about that one at in Austin because it was one of those ones that I think didn't have the big marquee name to it. So it's kind of the joy is when someone goes and sees something and that nobody else has caught wind of yet, they can go tell everyone like, hey, this is pretty sick. So that was one of
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
Mads had a lot of good buzz about it. I
And it's
didn't
one of
see
those
it
ones,
unfortunately,
too.
but I would love
It's
to.
Yeah, it's good, and it's one of those ones too. Like, it doesn't take very long to start, and like
No.
once it starts,
Yeah.
it doesn't let up. So it's
No.
very like frenetic, in that way. Like you're always waiting for that next thing that's just happening.
Yeah.
And so if you like that kind of breakneck speed of like you're just getting hit left and right, and you're just really on edge like the whole
I agree
movie.
with that. Yeah.
It's a cool experience.
I love that. I love those movies. It's kind of like I don't like roller coasters that take their sweet time getting to the top. I like the ones that
Yeah.
shoot you right up there and just drop you down. Like no build up, just get me to the good stuff.
Right.
Yeah, this is that roller coaster where like they start with the lunch.
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
Matt's.
Yeah, perfect. Sign me up. I think the favorite one I saw of the festival had to be the movie that opened things up, which was The Rule of Jenny Penn. And it's by far it's not a perfect movie by any means, but as far as what I want out of a good horror movie, it delivered. One, it's got two amazing performances from Jeffrey Rush and John Lithgow, and just the premise alone that Jeffrey Rush plays a judge who has a stroke, and then he gets tormented by John Lithgow and his dementia doll. Like that is a premise. Like that, I'll eat that up all day. And there's some really like weirdly shocking things that happen in it that are a little somewhat out of place, but very entertaining. And overall, I'd say it's a perfect example of great performances and a very simple kind of idea of like how far can you push somebody before they break.
Okay.
But also focusing on the elderly community because one thing we don't have a lot of this set for Bubba Hotep really is geriatric horror. Or there is that German movie I think called Old. I never saw it, but I think it's like old people are kind of the antagonist. I don't know. I'll check it out one day. But there's not a lot of geriatric horror, so this was a pretty good example of that. And I think it's coming out next year on Shudder, so it shouldn't be too long before people can see it.
Nice.
Okay.
I agree. There isn't a lot of geriatric horror,
Yeah.
but I'm starting to see a little bit more now, like in recent months,
Yeah.
especially in like foreign films.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Joko Anwar loves old people.
Oh man, his movies are so good too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lowell, is there anything else you saw that you're like super happy about, loved from the screening room?
There are two. One I feel I have to talk about because I feel like I feel like this is going to be one of the most talked about films of the fest, but I didn't love it, but I respect it, and that's Chainsaws Were Singing. Did you guys see that?
I was
No,
curious how that
he
because
was
we're
curious
not
about it though.
yeah because we're not big like musical people, but the thumbnail of it looks super crazy. So I was
Right?
Yeah,
wondering like,
it's
what
like,
is that like?
have you ever seen Cannibal the Musical from like the South Park guys, or like you know like old school trauma films, like what 70s 80s trauma films? Have you
Uh-huh.
seen those? It's kind of like that. It's an Estonian horror comedy musical, and it was
Okay.
made like 10 years ago, but it's been in post for 10 years.
Oh,
Wow.
Like this guy and his friends just working on a movie, I guess like on weekends and shit.
interesting.
It's bloody and ridiculous and hilarious. And it's one of those, like I said, I wanted to like it so much more than I did, but I know for sure it's going to be like some people's favorite movies. And
Mhm.
like the blood in it is just insane. Some of the songs are pretty great, and
Okay.
like man, that's and so much chainsaw stuff. Like I know it's in the
Okay.
title, but like like you watch a movie where you're promised chainsaw stuff, and there's not a lot of chainsaw stuff. There is a ton of chainsaw.
Okay.
They chainsaws are singing like Whitney Houston. They're hitting all notes.
Oh my goodness.
Ridiculous. Um, and I did like it, but I didn't love it. But I should have written a review for this, but I didn't because I was just so tired when it all was said and done. But I really liked What Happened to Dorothy Bell. Did you guys see it?
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what you liked.
I thought it was actually scary. Like like where I am with found footage, like I feel like 90% of found footage movies for me are either incredible or awful. Like there's not a lot of middle
Yeah.
ground. And you remember like the incredible ones. And I mean, there's some leeway with VHS because they're so short that like,
right.
if you don't like something, it's over like that. But I was a little confused by it. But like it was just really effective. Like several moments actually got me. That library was really creepy.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I was just like, wow, this is. I much would have rather reviewed this than some of the other reviews that I did. Um, but I was just busy. But yeah, what do you guys think?
Yeah, we weren't as high on What Happened to Dorothy Bell. I think we thought it was like okay, or did you not even think it was okay? I thought it was okay.
I think there was a lot to like about it.
Yeah.
Obviously the themes so far, around like mental health and generational trauma, those aspects I think were really cool to see. Especially with it being centered around like a Black family, which we in our culture, it's kind of like taboo to seek
Right.
help. But I don't know, it wasn't as scary to me, I think.
Yeah.
Um
And I like what you said too, Lowell, that it was kind of confusing towards the end too. Like at least for me, I wasn't fully understanding how things
Oh, yeah.
resolved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm with you
that.
there. I don't think
Yeah.
the ending. I think it felt very rushed. Like it seems like something was
Yeah.
missing before the ending because there's a lot of stuff packed into it that I don't think makes a lot of sense.
Mhm.
I think I'm somewhere. I think I'm probably closer to you, AJ, on this, and that I thought it was good. I'm also much of the mind that Lowell is with found footage is that I tend to find it to be very hot and cold. But in this case, I think the setup was good. The use of found footage was good. Like it wasn't kind of just
Yep.
a first person or like a camera view that didn't make a lot of logical sense. It actually made logical sense within what was going on at all times.
Yep.
But it felt like something was missing. Like there's maybe like a couple pages that didn't get shot that would have explained a little bit of how things ended up how they ended up. I do think the performances were pretty good. I think that's kind of what makes
Yeah.
it work, the performances, but also that I agree with the library too. That's just a creepy place to put it. That
Yeah.
library
Yeah.
looked weird. Like it looked like the kind of thing where you found a location, like we're gonna make a movie there. Like I don't know what the movie is yet. We're fucking making a
Yeah.
movie in this library.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do think like the beginning
I was
part
about
is
to
a
say that
lot more
same thing.
scarier. Like that, we're
Yeah.
trying to like find her grandma. That
opening
That was
setup,
weird.
creepy.
that was good.
Oh my god, the
Yeah.
opening was so strong.
Yeah.
And
She's just
I don't
standing
think
there with the knife.
Yeah.
Ugh.
I don't think the rest of the film matched the
that, yeah.
opening in terms of like that
Intensity.
raw,
Mhm.
like just skin crawling feeling.
Yeah.
Because it got more complicated than that. Like they started to add layers to that to kind of explain why she was that way, and
Mhm.
and it kind of deviated from what made that creepy, which is like, what if your grandma's trying to kill you? That's a
Yeah.
really fucking creepy premise, you know. Just go with that.
Right.
So yeah,
I agree
I'm
with that.
I'm on the fence on that one as well, but I did enjoy it.
I was
Any
gonna
others
mention,
that yeah.
yeah, I was gonna mention two more movies that we liked. Mr. Crockett. We
Mhm.
both
Oh,
really liked
okay.
that
It
one.
was good.
Yeah, we liked it. We thought it was awesome.
Yeah.
The '90s nostalgia, the puppetry, the effects and gore, and then Elvis Nolasco was the person who played Mr. Crockett. Man, he was like,
Yeah.
it was so awkward because he was like, he played it so perfectly, very like kid friendly, but then like sinister, like the layers of like he's smiling, but it's a very demonic like smile, you know,
Right.
like there's so many different layers to it. And you know, obviously took a lot of inspirations from things like Nightmare on Elm Street and whatnot, but it was a really good
That
fun
one
film.
also has a really strong opening sequence
yes.
as well.
That
like,
opening is
I did not
awesome.
expect it. Like
It's so dope.
so gory, and again, he's smiling and laughing through all of it, and it's just like, what am I watching?
Yeah, it's honestly we really enjoyed that
Yeah,
one a lot.
that was really, really good.
And then the second film I was going to mention was I don't know how to pronounce it. I'm gonna be honest. It was Wit Wyven or
Oh, yeah.
Oh, like
Yeah, the
Wyven?
Finnish movie or something like that, or Norwegian
Yeah.
movie, something. Yeah.
It would kind of remind me of like The Witch and
Yeah.
like that like folk tale, like there's something in the woods type
Mhm.
of film, and that was excellent. That was one of the first films we watched, I think,
Mhm.
in Fantastic Fest, and I was like, damn,
And that was another short one. I
this
think,
was
too.
awesome.
Yeah, it was like 60 minutes.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
that was quite good. And the only reason I watched it actually is because I ended up sitting down next to the director and just didn't realize it was him. You know, I didn't realize he was a director. Just we were just talking. Then he's like, "Oh, I have a movie here." I'm like, "Oh, okay, what's it about?" So I'm like, oh, I felt obligated to check it out now, or else like somehow the Karma Police are gonna find out. And it was really good.
Yeah. I
Um,
like that
I'm
one,
glad
too.
I did. Lowell, do you have any others to mention?
Oh, I did watch the Christopher Lee documentary, the life and deaths of Christopher Lee, and I wasn't too familiar with him. I mean, I knew he had like a long history as like the Hammer Dracula, and it was just cool to see. But it was also like I learned some fascinating stuff. Like he was a spy during the war, and he just
Oh.
doesn't. He never talked about what he did. Like even when like directors who worked with him tried to razz him, he was just like,
Good
so
spot.
like I feel like there's a bigger movie there of like Nazi killing Christopher Lee that the world just kind of needs to see. But it was cool. There was like animation, puppetry. Like it's hosted by what's his face, Peter Serafinowicz, the voice of Darth Maul, doing voiceover for the Christopher Lee puppet as Christopher Lee, and he's like your host through the whole thing. And it was cool. I like documentaries where it's like, you know, I like learning more about stuff that I know already, but I like really learning about stuff that I'm tangentially familiar with. And this hit the spot for me. It was pretty cool. That's about all I have from the screening room that is positive. So, but it was cool.
I guess I got a couple more to mention. One is Heavier Trip, which is so funny, especially if you like heavy metal. The first movie is hilarious. This is just a continuation of that. It's vulgar. It's got a lot of good music in it. It's very European. But it's very funny. And so that I think that comes out in November. And then the other one was Frankie Frico, which on paper does not seem like something that I would like gravitate towards, but I dug the shit out of it. It's stupid, it's silly, but it's kind of it, but it's very aware of that how silly it is, and it feels very much like if you watch some of those like raunchy '80s comedies and just put some puppets in it, like if you ever see that movie Munchie, back from the 80s. Like it's very much like that, where it's like, okay, this is tonally weird, but I get it. It's kind of adult. It's kind of kid oriented at the same time, but it's fun. I recommend it. It's not. It's more impressive, especially on the practical effects side, because they did a lot of puppetry work. There's only like two living, breathing people actors in it. The rest are just puppets. So I think that makes it a little bit more exciting to watch, and it's a breezy like 90 minutes too. So it's not going to take up too much time. But as much as there's things to like, there's also things not to like. Were there any movies for you all that didn't really connect this time? Or like, or there's something there, but you're like, nah, it didn't resonate with me.
Probably The Draft.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was mine.
Yep.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I mean, the concept I thought was really good. And I was like, okay, this is cool once we kind of get a realization of what's happening.
Mhm.
But yeah, it doesn't really like follow through with the concept very
And I was
well.
curious if like maybe some of the comedic elements just kind of fell through with subtitles. Maybe like
Mhm.
I don't know, like we couldn't really connect with it at that kind of deeper level. Just not really having the language like direct translation. Because sometimes I feel like you got to be within that culture to really like let some of the jokes land a certain way. We also don't watch like a ton of Indonesian horror films. We've seen some, but I know there were some people who were like mega Indonesian horror film fans and really liked it for its like meta and commentary on the genre or the subgenre. But yeah, there's something about it that was just like
Yeah, I felt
it
like it's
didn't it
missing
didn't
something.
connect with us. I feel like
Mhm.
yeah, but there was something there. I'm sure other people really liked it, but yeah.
Yeah, I know Lowell felt the same.
Yeah, it was like you said, great idea. Absolutely great, incredible idea. When I found out where it was going, I was like, oh wow, that's pretty cool. And then it just fumbles like
Yeah.
to the end. And I feel like I don't want to say I want to see the American remake of this, but I feel like someone can remake this
Yep.
into something much better. Like the concept deserves someone who's like written a ton of bad scripts and knows what a lot of bad scripts are, like almost like I don't know, like Edgar Wright. He's not American, but maybe like he's someone with like the insight to do something like this because it's so they're leaving money on the table. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
Grady Hendrix. Like what like almost like they need to understand camp almost it sounds like. And
Yeah, it's and there were some really funny moments, but those were just tears in the rain.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I finished it and I was like, well, that's a bummer. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
100% agree.
yeah, I didn't check out the draft, but I think based on Lowell's review that I'd read, I was like, all right, well, maybe I'm not missing much, so I'll skip it. There were two that stuck out for me. One was Little Bites, which is coming out, I think, in a couple weeks on Shudder. There's a good story here, but it's just I don't know. It's hard to describe why it's not good, but it just feels like the premise is interesting. It's not really executed very well because it lacks a lot of believability.
Mm.
Part of this might have had to do with they had the director kind of giving us a preface before. I think sometimes when people explain their movies, it sets an expectation for you, so you're looking for that thing. I think maybe if he wouldn't have introduced it and tried to tell us what he was going for, maybe it would have been a little bit. I don't think it would have solved the problems of the movie, which essentially is it just doesn't have a very believable premise by the end of it. This idea that you have a vampire that's feeding off of you, but
Mhm.
like the whole metaphors of addiction and domestic abuse, like they're there, but they're not done well enough to really connect. So it just kind of misses. Uh, and then Terrifier 3. I hate to say it,
Wow.
but
Really?
it was.
Wow.
But I must preface it by saying I'm not a big Terrifier fan. Like, and I don't dislike Terrifier as much as it is. I think I have a deep appreciation for the effects and the character creation. I think where I struggle is like I need more than that to hold on to. And so for me, this third one, it's just more of the same, I guess. And I think that for Terrifier fans, that's going to be fine. It's going to
Mm.
make a shit ton of money. They're going to make it. They're already greenlit another one.
Right.
Yep.
So it's not like this is going to change any trajectory, but it does feel like they're running out of ideas as far as they don't want to give us more story. So they're just going to give you more violence. And the violence is great, but at some point, like by the ending, I was, the shower scene you see in the trailer happens like in the back third of the movie. And
Mm,
by the time you get there, like I was bored. I was like, all right, come on, like
mm,
Oh
let's
wow.
get to the thing because you just
yeah.
seen so much at that point, and then you get this ending, which is really like it's mean, but at the same time, it tonally you don't know how to feel. It's like, am I supposed to laugh at this? Am I supposed to feel bad for this character who's clearly getting like the literal shit kicked out of her? Like this is like I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about this because this movie
Yeah.
doesn't take itself seriously enough in some parts, but then it presents you with these really tragic situations that you're like, how this person's really going through it.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know if it handles tone all that well, but the audience loved it. I'm going to be interested to see what Terrifier fans have to say about it because I do think that it's impossible not to have a high expectation for it. It is 20 minutes shorter
Mm.
than Terrifier 2. That's a good thing. It still
Okay. Yeah.
feels
Yeah.
long,
Yeah.
but it is 2 hours. Like a 2 hour slasher movie doesn't really, you really got to earn that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's, yeah, it didn't change my mind. More just kind of furthered my opinion that these are really, really good effects reels, but
Mm-hmm.
they lack
Yeah, it
something
is
else.
more of a Terrifier fan than I am.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
because I'm like, I'm that person that needs a good story. Like, that was like the biggest thing for Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey for me. Like, the first one, I can't stand that movie. But the second one, I enjoy it a lot more because now we've got, yeah, really great kills. But we also have a really cool story.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, that's my thing with Terrifiers. I just, I need some story.
And I know it's hypocritical too, because like I'll watch a bunch of like European horror movies that have story that the story is like in there, it's barely there, right? We're talking like sheer thin ass story, but it's there. It's like it's almost like a hollow, even in slasher sequels, like it is still kind of Michael Myers or Jason killing people, but at least they're
Yeah.
there for a reason, like
Right.
they've all
Yeah.
come together for a reason. They're trying to open this camp again, or they're trying to make sure
Party.
this little
Yeah.
yeah, they're trying to
Yep.
have a party. Like there's a reason for this. Whereas like
Yeah.
this is just let's see like Art's like a wind-up doll. Like just see where he goes and what happens when he gets there. So, but it does have like the opening is just it sets a tone for the movie that I think is not going to change anyone's mind. Like no one's going to walk into this thinking like, oh, I'm not going to be like, no one's going to be offended by anything they're going to see. We'll just further reaffirm your belief that yes, the people making these movies do not give a shit about what is tasteful or what is
Yeah.
right.
Mhm.
They will, and that's I kind of what I love about the movies is that they will go there. There are some
That's
amazing
cool.
Mhm.
scenes like there. I hate to sound like a downer on it. That's why I'm trying to puff it up a little bit with some faint praise, but there are some really great things about it. And I will be curious to see what people think about it when ever gets a chance to see it because it's clearly, I'd say, between this and Nosferatu, the biggest most anticipated horror movies of the
Yeah.
year. Now that Alien Romulus
100%.
is out, and is and we're moving on because that's the way the news moves these days so
Yep.
fast.
It's always looking for the next thing. Yep.
Was there anything else that you all saw that you didn't connect with, or even things that surprised you?
Um, I would say the Daddy's Head one was a surprise.
Ooh,
It
Well,
wasn't
okay.
like
that one.
it wasn't a bad movie, obviously. It was really good. I just didn't know it was about what it was about in the terms because I don't want to give it away.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I didn't know what the creature thing was. And so
Yeah.
that take was very interesting to me and surprising.
People had a lot of good reactions to it, so I'm kind of bummed I missed it. Kind of bummed I watched Little Bites instead of that.
Yeah.
Great title though, but
Be on
yeah,
shut no time, I'm sure.
yeah, I think they're both coming to Shudder in October.
Yep.
Yes.
So
Yep.
Yeah. You don't have long
good,
wait.
good news. Yeah, we don't have to wait long for a lot of these movies. I think Terrifier comes out in 2 weeks.
Yep.
They had Never Let Go there the day before it opened. So that was part of it. So I think we're reaching the point where a lot of these movies are going to start hitting VOD and streaming services, and hopefully a lot of them got picked up for distribution this year at the fest. So Well, it
Yeah.
sounds like we're all going to show up in person next year, and we're
Yeah.
going to do
Oh
a big
yeah,
old
we're gonna be
hangout.
there this time.
And
Oh yeah, we would definitely be
uh,
there this time.
yeah, and I'm doing all days next time. I always, I was booking it this time and I only did 5 days, and I'm thinking to myself, could probably stay a little longer, but I'm one of those people that I just kind of have to be home after a certain period of time. Like I just need
Yeah.
to be back in my space. So I was trying to be, respectful of my own capacity, but now I think I can push a little further next year.
Yeah, that's how Christy is too.
I
Got to
am.
recharge that social battery. Like, all right, been out here
Yep.
for a while.
Yeah. When we
Yep.
went to Midsummer Scream, I think it was like on the last no, yeah, the last day,
Last
right?
day.
You're
yeah.
like, what do you want to do today? I was like, I just want to go home.
I feel that it does over, especially if you're trying to be active and social and talk to people. It's only so much of the small talk you got in you before you're just like, I gotta go find my Steam Deck or something, just fucking lay down for a little bit and just not be bothered for a while. So,
Yeah.
well, AJ and Christy, I thank you so much for being here and doing this with us. This was so much fun, and give you all the floor to tell everyone where can they find you, anything you got coming up that you want to mention. This is your time to promote what you got to promote.
Nice. Well, first of all, thanks for having us again. We really appreciated it. The invite. But yeah, you can find us on Instagram or YouTube, In Love with Horror. Just that's our tagline, tag, whatever it is. Our at In Love with Horror. There you go. October is a busy month. We have a lot of stuff actually coming up. We're trying to put together a lot of stuff, but yeah, just find us. We'll have reviews like always. We have a live news show every Sunday, 12 p.m. Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific time. So we talk about any news that came out that week in horror, and we also just chit chat, catch up on stuff with our community. So you can join us for those.
And we've been watching the new season of From.
Yes.
Like we do like reaction and review to the new episodes. Like we just did episode 1. Then tomorrow we got episode 2 dropping, so we'll be reacting and reviewing that as well. Big fans of the From show. If you're a fan, come check that out.
I need to get into it.
Yes,
it's awesome.
It's so good. Yeah. But yeah, you can check out our blog, lovewithhorror.com. I post our reviews on there as well.
Yep.
Well, I'll definitely be checking out I didn't know about the Sunday show, so now I do, because that sounds like perfect with a morning cup of coffee.
Oh,
just to hear the horror news and hang out with community. So
that's what it's all about.
Yes, and please, everyone, go find AJ and Christy at In Love with Horror. Give them all the love and appreciation that they give back to the community. And again, follow them for great horror reviews and just commentary. And I know next month, we'll be coming in. It's October. I know we're going to be busy as well. It'll be nice.
Tired.
Yeah. And I've got like a checklist of things I still need to do just for Fantastic Fest, let alone October. So
I know
the gauntlet, but again, I wouldn't have it any other way. These are good problems to have.
Yeah.
But for now, thanks everyone for stopping by. As we always like to say here, be good, stay safe, and above all, watch more horror movies. You got to do that. Just got to do it.
What he said.
Adios.